Our program has existed for 40 plus years, and this is only the second such performance like this where we get to perform for everyone during the school day. And that is something we don't take for granted. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you carving out the space and time for us today. It really, really means a lot to us. Just a quick reminder, I know I don't have to remind you of this, but be diligent with your mask wearing throughout the performance. Keep them on, and that will protect everyone. And it allows us to be in this great space all together for this great event. I'm going to quickly turn it over to my extraordinary colleague, Iris Rinkingheimer, but I want to thank her for her incredible efforts and the students' incredible efforts under extraordinary circumstances this week in preparing the show for you. She's done a great job, they've done a great job, and I am so excited to see what you guys have for us.
Thank you. Like Mr. Badman said, I'm Ms. Rinkingheimer. I've been here for 30-some years. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here for this Creative Writing Senior Showcase, which is titled The Things That Keep Us Up at Night. We are so happy that you all are here and that showcase is happening this year. I want to thank particularly Laura Prim and her crew, Isabella Newton, Rich Murphy, Alex Momo, Arthur Liplinsky, Greta Peterson, Makini Lewis, Jamarcus Denson, and Ollie Hetland for their hard work. Without these guys, our guys would be sitting in the dark and you could barely hear their voices. So it's all due to them that this is happening. I also want to thank Ms. Jones and the 2020 seniors for having paved the path with their first showcase. And one more big thank you goes to Haley Pate, one of our seniors, who so tirelessly worked on coordinating the pieces. And now to our seniors. From the left to the right, starting with the youngest, are Madaha Lewis, Robbie C., Goodman Murphy Smith, Haley Pate, Becca Airbar, and E. Miller. Please welcome our 2022 creative writers.
Through the flower beds, fickle and weary, breaking eye contact with the hills that lay ahead, bearing the crown of expectation, embezzled with the jewels of the girl they wanted. I was a jovial girl, with a novel behind her eyes, each step a blooming story, like the flowers in the bed I trod. A bed of roses, fresh as monsoon rain, but I was engrossed in the thorny brush below.
I was a daughter in a tomb, forming in the cold and dusk. I was waiting for fire. I would hold it in my small hands and let it burn bone into steel.
I was a dark and shrouded mystery, like a cave in the rain where nightmares shamble through pits lined with brains and blood, and deeper into the parts of the world where food and water are not enough to survive.
I was a strange silent fruit, trustless, ready for the running child without home, a waning wanderer, sapling to the sun, a flying fish praying for a pond.
I was feeble-born, reaching with bloody hands, bending over back, trying to piece together all my flaws. I was everything I hated and everything I ever loved, learning worth doesn't come with a price nor a hand to be held.
I was a body of pollution, drinking the universe until it drowned me. I was a shadow, begging for the light that would bend around me and flinch when I reached out.
supposed to be writing on change, as in the first time a diaper was slid over my brittle waist, as I was fragile to a world of new, where breathing was voluntary before the automatic, and the oxygen hurt my lungs because I was made for amniotic fluid, swishing, swimming, and backflipping in the womb I always knew. Light in the dark, light in the dark. The John within Elizabeth I recognized, kicking bumps within my mother's stomach at the greatness that awaited me outside. I'm supposed to be writing on change, as in that breaking from the dark within, where the chaos of creation swirled around me as warm, black water I never knew was clear, where in that chaos I was pillowed and comfy and hiding. Umbilical cord, my room service, and fortunately, Mama ate good. But now I have to fend for myself, and it's possible to find my next meal, but it won't be good like Mama's. Good like the swish of everything liquid. It's a solid world now, and no one can drown in the fluids. It's safer when you know how to swim, since I was accustomed to thick water since the day I first opened my eyes, accustomed to the dark of danger. Until change, which I'm supposed to be writing about, kicked the outside of my mother's womb as I turned and kicked within, spiraling upside down and popping out flaming into a world of fluorescent lights, a world that was not my own. I cried as the air rushed in, cried because change poisoned my throat, force fed himself to me, and my baby self spit him up for years.
To my youth, personified. I'm smoking your words like an expensive cigar while you hold someone else like a gun to my head, and I'm begging you to shoot. The soft dilation of your pupils starts to settle in my body. I'm alone, and even the sun has fallen asleep. I spend my time bridging the rough gaps between us, asking you to love me like I'm not myself. You remind me of how I saw the world when I was young. Devotion and light and color, and your eyes are beautiful, especially at night. They glow like an infinite city that shines through my window, and I'm a kid again. I'm burning and crumbling like the end of your cigarette. The moving vehicles take your place and rock me to sleep.
Lost time. I've told you before of lost time and how sipping thoughts like cold wine burned of wretched days where we were all one. You don't seem to recall, but these hands still shake, still crack, still bleed. Words work the brain like knives at throat. Just like cold coal, your voice is only strained with that stoic clear liquid. Broken teeth can only chew with hardened tongue. Broken bottles from homes for the homes who broke, and stained glasses only a mirror for those who see, and a gateway for childish things. Dream of cracking glass, shifting to moving pictures, till looked out windows fog with handmade footprints, disappearing with every breath. A time dreamed of deserted winters and stapled cats, let voice become warm, lacking comfort, always clenched eyes and harsh air, pulling nails from fingers, you would call it home. The sense of scalding skin and the peace it brings under scalding thumb is a repeating thought. You don't mean to be this way. Pulling feet after hands after arm, you seem to be the only one falling over back. While dark sides and shut eyes pull blankets from under feet, and metal cover cords steal oxygen from pipes.
protest last summer. I'm a black woman. I have typed for hair and grew up in the American South. Before last summer, the history of my people had never felt so close to me. I could reach out and touch it. I had, through the museum in Montgomery, the Legacy Museum. If you visit, you can find a memorial dedicated to the over 4,000 victims of lynching and racial terrorism that took place in this country between the end of Reconstruction and the 1960s. Their names are etched into metal and stone, immortalized in a way that they never were. When I visited last summer, I touched them. I read their stories, and I touched their names, and I tried to imagine their last day. I tried to imagine the despair and fear and pain they endured. After George Floyd's death, after finally waking up, it was not hard to imagine myself where they stood. In so many ways, I did stand where my ancestors did. I live in Birmingham, both the epicenter of oppression against my people and my people's defiance of that oppression. They took to the streets. They marched and sang and demanded freedom so that the very soil could bear witness. I realize now that then, when I marched that night, I wasn't standing on their shoulders. I was standing in their shadows and merely walking down the trail that had already been blazed by so many before me. A year later, I'm still angry. I'm still awake. And I'm still trying to find ways to continue that fight. We should all be angry. Within the span of America's short shelf life, it has shed blood it had no right to shed, and crushed so many under the boot of oppression. We like to think that the America of today is vastly different from the America of yesterday. America has only changed its face, not its heart. To change the heart of this country, we must all take our anger and our fire and use it to carve out a better place. A place where freedom and justice for all is truly freedom and justice for all.
Panic attack poem. Keep in mind, when I say panic attack, I do not mean crying in the bathroom or rocking back and forth and breathing gently in, out. I mean, to put it gently, the irresistible urge to disappear and never speak to anyone ever again, to wander the wilderness alone and benign, a calloused monster lost among wildflowers. You eat when you are hungry. You drink when you are thirsty. You scare away hikers when they come near. You are not happy, and you are very lonely. But you are content to live the simple life until the night you finally drown yourself in the glittering pond behind your soft and peaceful cabin and are rendered a bloated cryptid among starfish. There is no headstone. Your body is never recovered, but you have minimized your harm. You are, in this way, a better person than you have any right to be.
I learned to love myself again. My midsection is missing, and I struggle to find a feeling behind these words. Mildly dosed and remaining paint streaks on my hip bones, stray scorch marks in my room. I fall to my knees in front of my littered walls and try to convince myself that the best artists don't know where they started at all. I unearth my heart from the bottom of a well, shaking off the dirt, promising to bring it somewhere safe, to cup it in clean hands. If there's a single star in this endless night sky, I'll swallow it whole. Of the fire in my stomach and know it is enough. Standing in a wheat field under warm street lamps, I ask myself a question. Who are you to be so lost and so close to home, to be content with the bubble of a world around you? I could lie here on my back, becoming fresh field and wildflowers, basking under the sun, knowing how beautiful it is to be seen and understood.
Me and Mr. Change. He was nasty, like ice-cold liquid in my world of hot and warm, like autumn bursting into winter where the leaves die and the trees are dead, and I remember just how lonely I really am. That's Mr. Change, and I battled him for years. Potty training, when my parents tried to put the reins on me in my haphazard nature, removing the convenience of diapers and placing me on a pot where Elmo sat watching from the television above. Elmo was cool and all, and we talked, my language of babbles, and his words like ma and daddy's. But we understood each other episodically, as change rang its way throughout my mind, shook hands with Mama Growth, and said, it's time to kick the gibberish. All day, I hadn't used that pot, as that partnership was agreed without me. This was my control, my bonfire in winter. And though my tiny stomach burned just as much as my heart, I knew that I could hold power over change. My father walked in, my mother walked in, to see if I had done the deed, but the pot was empty. Elmo had his captive audience, and always put on a show. I found that we clicked on drama. So, with my audience of two, I stood up from the pot and tried to cleanse Mr. Change from my system. I thought it had worked, but he boomeranged back in the form of a popping from my father. Mr. Change liked the power and slithered his message into my brain that his presence would remain within me. And year after year, he chipped at each molecule, cooling the hate of his nature to atoms of apathy, customizing my mentality to like him, and warping the very image of my character.
This light, picture this. We are still lost in the dark. Our lanterns only attract more flies. The smell of rot is thick and sweet in the air, swollen like an infected foot. Picture the infected foot. It is everything that you have ever lost since birth. It is bloated black skin, bones struggling to hold up beneath necrotic tissue. It is the teary eyes of the mother you betrayed when you skipped town. It is the face of your child when you finally become all the things you said you wouldn't. Picture this. Somehow, the dark has become lost in us. Can you feel it? Little worms running through your flesh, savoring something not yet dead like the grave has become your final home. What do you think about final homes? What could you teach me about rest? You haven't breathed right since you were 6 years old and held kite string in your hand. What could you possibly teach this restless heart about peace? Picture this. The darkness is retreating. If that's too pretentious a way to put it, then let me simplify it. You are getting better. Impossibly. Bad days don't seem so bad. Only as stressful as the time you spilled the milk when you were 5. When your daughter spills the milk, you both flinch, programmed to wait for violence in the low, soft part of quiet, and then you realize you are not the quick blade of your mother's tongue, nor are you the searing heat of your father's angry hands. Now picture this. The light at the end of the tunnel is no longer a light at the end of the tunnel. There is no tunnel. There is only a light, spreading out from the depths of this misery like an infant star fighting for freedom from the womb. Take a breath. There is only this light. There's only this.
Searching for my sunflower. I am looking for a dead sunflower, digging through dirt and rubble. I am looking for a dead sunflower. Until hands bleed and thorns form seeds from tangled weeds, I breathe within cracked seams. From under rocks and half-bent beams, I am looking for a dead sunflower. Buried under leaves, I will look because I know I put it there. Hidden in the back corner of the backyard, placed to the left of the fence, shielded under the ivy, I am looking for a dead sunflower, with wilting yellow petals and droopy leaves. I know I placed it within the thorns, cowering behind the ivy, in hopes to protect it from wandering eyes. I am looking for a dead sunflower, though it seems to be stolen. Taken by the light, all that's left is black parched weeds in the place where my sunflower used to be. I am looking for a dead sunflower.
Nervous desire. I feel nervous. Every day of my life, it gets worse the longer I'm alive. Nothing feels right for no reason. But down the line, things will be different. I can feel it. I don't have a degree, and I write in chalk on the concrete. I can't tell you what I'm trying to find. I can't tell you who I'm thinking of. But we'll be together against rapidly turning time, alone and quiet, wrapped up in each other as the moon meditates above, young and tired, and together and trying. Some people lack brevity. I'm wondering just how long this can last. I'm a soggy sponge on sand, warmth beating down on me, but I see just how high the sun can rise and how gently the waves can lap on the shore. These moments haunt me, a looping tape in my head, with the same words spilling off my tongue, but energy brings many new things. And love, not as just a hidden gut feeling, but expressed in the way we hold our friends and how we can never slow down. Aware of it or not, you can always find a way to love yourself.
I am the thing in the house. Do you know that my older sister stepped on a nail in the kitchen once? Do you know that the kitchen floor used to be corn yellow? Do you know that the TV used to be plugged in the corner? Do you know that the room upstairs used to be chocolate brown? Do you know that that used to be my bedroom? I looked out those windows for snow in the winter. I thought a monster hid in the closet. I finished the book on Christmas Eve by the light from the Christmas tree in the corner. Do you know how much a house can carry? And do you know that I have carried that house? That I still have the missing shingles from the roof lodged in my spine? Do you know that the scooter I used to ride in the garage still hides in my throat? Do you know that a fish used to live on that mantle? Do you know that you were still haunted by my ghost? I want you to give her back to me, my ghost. And the blue color in my room, and the old piano in the room by the foyer, and the ladybug flag hanging by the front door, shredded by a tornado in 2007. And the way my parents used to fight after I fell asleep, and the feel of my cat on my bed at night. I want the garage back, and the other monster that lurked in the shadows there, and my mom's high-heeled shoes, and my father's old red truck, and the soft blue carpet of the basement steps. I want the cellar back, and the sternum bone that I hid there for safekeeping. I want the night my sister and I huddled for cover from a storm that never came, while my father listened to the radio. I want to be a little girl again, playing in the sunroom beside a hot tub you never used. I want to be small. I want to slip into the walls of my childhood home, and I want to stay there. I want to go home. I want you to give me my home back. And the blood on the carpet, and the shouting on the walls, and the faulting foundation, and two parents sleeping down the hall. Right now, I want to be running in the front yard, night and cold around me, throwing snowballs with my family, while that awful shadow looms, ever near.
Mother. To live and to not understand my body is to sink in burning puddles caused by weeping willows. Starting under moonlit skies and hushed whispers, Mother's body used to carry me in embers, until cracked voices and hard hands turned cold. Then it was just me and the other holding ourselves together, trying to mold into your shape. Deformed, defiled, we turned vile, tainted in their image like a stain on white cloth. Mother can never get us quite clean. What makes these sisters truly evil is their flat language. Their sharp tone of tongue never settled well, often sounded of Broadway lies and broken riddles. We were always in the wrong. They didn't see the clenched teeth nor the tears grasping for eyelashes. It was never about us. It was always about her. About Mother, about twisted tales disguised as bedtime stories. It was all fleeting memories. Until tire-marked footprints ran through graves of the past. The groundskeeper with bright torch and toothed fang. Everything is drifting, confoundedly unwinding.
Dancing with my sister. Dance, like it's your last day to live, like the rhythm pumps your matter, like the bass controls your body and your lungs forget they breathe. You don't see me crying, as I'm hidden by Caribbean motions, but years ago you couldn't walk, and now you groove before my eyes. As the beat gives bumping tremors, your legs tremble to keep up, and you bounce from side to side looking more alive than you ever have. So dance, because you are alive, because the rhythm pumps your matter, because the bass controls your body and your lungs forget they breathe.
Home invasion. Accepting the wild-eyed men beside the service roads and the flickering lights in the hospital windows and the invisible coughing from right behind you and the silhouettes crouching in the forest. Accepting the sharp stench of drugs in every alcove and the ghosts shadowboxing in the park and the street lamps that never turn off and the eyes that appear in the hedges at night and the open sinkholes and rotting ceilings. Accepting all that, it seems like a lovely place to live, and I think you'll agree. It really does seem like your kind of town. But I guess you'll have to see it to be sure, although I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to live somewhere else because the last thing you want to ever do in your life is say hello to new neighbors. I know you don't want to live in a house someone else built because you think they might have put cameras in the walls. Let's build a house together then. Here's the room where I snort Xanax every morning, and here's the room where you punch holes in the walls every night. How does that sound? Do you want to keep building? Across the hall to the bedroom with translucent curtains where we keep the grating letters from our mothers pinned up on the walls. Then down the stairs to the kitchen where we boil our friends like frogs in pots of popping water, our faces hovering in their skies like a pair of silent gods. And then the next room over, the dining room with a long table with 2 chairs where we serve, on finely made obsidian plates, the frogs who didn't escape. Now we've eaten. Why don't we go to the living room? Why don't we rest on the couch that you personally upholstered with razor blades while we try to watch sitcoms on the 100-inch flat-screen plasma 32K television that randomly loses power and cuts to black and reflects the landline, which we use to call our acquaintances and invite them over for dinner tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. And now we've got ourselves an obligation, so let's go back tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. to the dining room, where we watch our acquaintances eat slices of arms and hearts and say, "This is delicious, thank you," over and over again until they finally leave. Let's follow them out the door and stand on the front porch where we wave as they roll out of the driveway and do not wave back, and where our gazes drift across the street to the neighbor's house, where silhouettes dance back and forth through red-lit windows like shadow puppets, spinning and leaping and laughing all night long, but we know they wonder, and wonder all day, who stole their great-great-grandfather's obsidian dinner service and why. So what do you think? Is it a nice house? If you were a guest, how long would you stay? Would you forgive us when we say, "Oh, sorry for the mess, I know it's a mess," and swipe cobwebs out of the way? I don't know if I would. Go down to the park and watch children shoot fireworks into the sun. Or down the nearest manhole to the hidden theaters under the earth where people kill each other for real on silver screens. Or across state lines to the neighborhood where during an ancient 2 a.m. my best friend stood terrified in the grass and I in the street, and the black car, a strange, godlike menace, whispered towards us like a ghost. If you look now, we would still be there. I would like to look. I would like to be there. Or maybe I would rather go to the pond on the top of the last unmoved mountain. I think I'd rather go there. I've heard the water is beautiful, and the fish even more. The bettas swimming in circles with magical incantations under their scales. The sky and their unclouded hearts, every grain of sand in the world in their black panopticon eyes, and their own true colors unfurled around them in red and blue and green curtains, and deteriorating as they slowly eat themselves alive.
A crack in the levee. The first time I lost everything was in August of 2005. Rushing waters carried our antique oak door into the sea, snatched the yellow buds of the angel's trumpet, stole the old off-white siding, and took the happiness of my family with it. We never dared to go back, to touch the fingers of the cold corpse of a house we once called home, to walk through the tattered door frame like we were once again cradling a newborn child with eyes that reflected the waters brewing on the cracked kitchen tiles. My memories have failed me. The calendar in my mind was torn from the wall of a room in that house. Pictures and news headlines and half-ripped letters of sympathy from forgotten family members are stuck together with damp pieces of tape. The newborn is swaddled in kelp. He is breathing salt water and crying for his mother. Sometimes I think I can feel the ocean creeping up the back of my neck. The violent tides clean the marrow of my bones and fill my arteries with pieces of memories that cannot be remembered. I can hear the screeching trumpets and heavy footsteps on uneven pavement. When I open my eyes, I see the lid of my above-ground tomb. I scratch and I claw and I try to escape, but I never get free. Instead, my incessant knocking has put a crack in the levee.
Letting everything happen. Last night my throat tightened with anger like a closed fist. Choking down words, I hold nothing but this air. Can I make literature without literature? Can a poem be a prolonged scream or the cracking of drywall beneath my hands? This feeling is not an art because it was drawn by you. Romanticized helplessness, not so closeted narcissist. A pain blooms so deeply in my chest because I still remember what it was like. With you, hips holding a familiar ache, staring out over the lake, water smooth like the steering wheel when I drove you home late. and I swallowed what I wanted to say then because you said it was okay to spare details. It was okay to say nothing. It was okay to bear. Wasted words that I think you never wanted to hear to begin with. And maybe this is the start of me spitting them out. Am I brave or reckless? I let this feeling take root and find dandelions sprouting from my palms. The seeds of something better than you ever could be spread out into the wind.
From the history of the entire world. When the witching days of Salem have come to a close, and the pentagrams replaced with a more mechanical magic, carriages replaced with trucks, sunlight replaced with LEDs, it becomes clear that there is one thing to be revered more than God, and that is creation itself, the very act. Not necessarily conventional creation, less a pen to a paper and more a chair against a wall, the birth of 3 new holes in the plaster of a suburban home, as the father, named Gregory, throws it at the mother, named Christina, who, unperturbed, drinks wine straight from the bottle, while the son, unnamed, lies upstairs and listens to the powerful punk rock-esque commotion, then calls his girlfriend and says, "None of this would have happened if I had watched more movies with him." This is what is to be revered more than God, and certainly more than the parents themselves. The creation of an entire new entry in the Human Sorrows Index, guilt, installation of, birthed from something so simple as throwing a chair against a wall. Not to say this is the only creation. There is the wheel and the happy, untraumatized child, and the playground after dark, and the seaside town, and poetry, and the pricks who write it, and that sought-after, hazy-eyed, wondrous look that can only be spawned from 2 things, a well-placed kiss and a well-planned chess move, because is there anything more intoxicatingly pleasurable than winning? God does not think so, and this is why God created himself infallible. So he never has to endure the uniquely human sorrow of being wrong, and so he can always count himself drunk. And it is because of this, and the image man was created in, that Christina is, was, and will always be, sitting on the couch beside a chair laid sideways on the floor, drinking wine straight from the bottle until the bottle is empty.
Family. It was whispered blows targeted at every piece of me. The paint on my skin began to crumble, my eyes were stapled shut. Eyelash over eyelash molding into a squandered cage, clear red liquid seeped through the cracks. Dripping, overflowing, it was draining. When was the last time my face became red? Hands shake. Crashing knuckle to knuckle, I can hear the rattle of my bones knocking against each other, turning my structure into nothing but warping wood. I am nothing. Nothing but a fleeting thought, a distant memory. Would anyone even realize? I drown 6 feet deep beneath all the pressure. And they stare, and they laugh, and they talk. And I know that even without me, time still goes on. Even without me, they are still family, as if I was never there to begin with, as if my life is nothing more than a privilege, please. Leave me to the night. It's time to let fireflies fly from beneath the clear, air-choked jars and broken lids. Some dreams are better left suffocated, better left drowned.
The dining room, or the liver. The sun pours in and sears my skin, melting me into place. I'm in your hands and I cannot breathe. You're holding me like a broken centerpiece and I want to shatter. My sleep is interrupted. Someone is calling my name, waiting for the signal. Have you ever felt the death that chews away at my bones? It gnaws and it refuses to loosen its grip. I'm picking up the axe. I'm doing what it's asking.
It's no thing. I am remembering. Bare feet in snow, little brown smudge making a clean getaway, tree bark and dead leaves, dying things, with heartbeats. The sky is an ink swell. Pockets of stars boring holes into my grimy palms. Father's smile is static shock. Mother's laughter, a murmuring heart. I reach for the sun on the edge. I bore holes into the underside of this house. The creaking back porch, sidewalk frozen with winter's kiss. There's so much snow. I am here at 14th Street. Call it Damascus. Call the snowman in the front yard blindness. The slant roof with missing shingles, the fork lodged in the bushes, all the things I am just now naming. I am a little girl. I am a shadow, folded into my own skin. I have not started running. The rot in my heart is quiet. I do not yet know it is the only thing my father has ever given me. For now, there's just the snow. And the petals of laughter falling over the blade buried in the bedrock. For now, there is no sun. There is only the moon. A snowflake clings to the streetlight. I have Santa baby growing in my soul. I am simply having a wonderful Christmas time. I have not yet started foraging for the pieces of my own heart. I am a little girl. There is a place for me. I am playing in the snow. The old order. The old man in my back seat juggles his teeth. I look a little more like him every day. The scar on his chin, the cut on mine. I'm losing track of how fast the days go. Fast enough for wound to become memory. Fast enough for blood to find a new home.
Consider this. Every life and dream ends the same. You wake up, you gasp for air. You are either grateful it's over or wish it had never ended. Listen to my mutterings, locked in nighttime. No one has heard them but you. The street lamps pass, and I am saying things you do not want to hear, but you have to. My father is still rotting at the bottom of a dark and hidden cave. As soon I will, and soon you, and all your friends too. I do not know where a single one of my friends have gone.
In this car of the looking glass, I am an empty room. The old man reaches across the seat, his hands filthy with the dirt from my childhood home. His eyes are white with the things we have both seen, things only he has seen. Looking in the mirror, I cannot tell which of us is the stranger.
And stranger still, the ancient soil now smearing your shoulders, a relic from the world beyond the infinite space outside these windows, where you have left the rotting fragments of your heart scattered like treasure across houses and churches and schools. You have left them in locked boxes under backyards and between the bricks of newly unfamiliar classrooms and in the deflated black and white balls in the corners of abandoned soccer fields, kickabout soul residue to be perceived in glimpses like a ghost.
The haunted outer banks of this car, his words settling in the sockets of my ribcage, snapshots of classrooms, smiles too brief to be anything more than smears of tongue and teeth, laughter locked in bottles, the softness of a clasped hand sequestered in the tombs of memory. He tells me these are only glimpses, only slivers of light fighting through cracks in the cement. He tells me the light never wins, that memory only falters. and that my heart never learns to keep its bindings.
And it will split like a bag and spill like a river, and you will see its contents flowing everywhere you look, thick and impassable, and the only people built to repair it are gone, to death or to distance or divergent priorities, and you will ford the unfordable as far as you can, through decimated cities and declining states under the hail of unending gunfire, until, in the last days of the long war, you find yourself deep in a trench, all your brothers dead around you, thigh-deep in a Red Sea, but no one left to guide through it.
It's just far away enough now that I can see it. The long bones of the old days, days aged in a future where I am nothing more than the unsalvageable parts of what I am now. I see the blood and tide, rising thick in bloom. I see the remnants of my heart scattered through this sunken city, held in the hands of those who went before me, forever kept safe and warm in asphalt tombs.
Tombs where there is no living love, and no hearts to beat along with yours. Not a single pocket of fresh air to draw, only stale, bloodied, broken breaths that leave you feeling less alive than no air at all. The cracked skyscrapers, the crumbling roads, all decaying above your head, my head, that churns and tumbles and fills the unreachable caverns of my heart with black water. I suffocate like a man buried alive, hanging on the stone ceiling until I wake up one day from a very long dream, gasping for air, the sunlight whispering through the blinds, and the last breaths of my life are spent in the new morning.
Then cast your coin. Swallow the sun and belch it like an ancient drachma into the ferryman's hand. You take the morning like a buried blade. I am welcomed into it, enveloped like a prodigal riser. The black water, the rot, the bayou choir rising as this eclipse swallows you, not me. Because here's the truth. It is my hand you feel on your shoulder. Your foot is a gas pedal, your heart a racing horse, trampling the now in favor of meeting the end. There are more truths, bitter, like cheap wine, and you will have to swallow it. I am more than a story. You are less than a shadow, and you are far less than me.
Thank you all. We will now have a 10-minute intermission. Divine adoration. I am love. Your reckless overflow into the mystery that is creation. The one who fights through thorns and thistles, all to reach one that is you. Your spring in hell-hot deserts, when you thought there was no way. The burst of flowered weeds between the cracks of civilization's concrete. I always find a way for you, dear. I am your produce in the wild, hidden in plain sight. Just seek to find me. Find me, darling, and consume me as the one who gives you life.
Good bodies. God mixes honeycomb and butterfly wings, desert sand and scraps of the Atlantic. When he made me, he put blackbirds in my throat. I am everything tender. I am everything soft. These rivers of living water fill me like morning dew. Blue jays and hummingbirds make homes out of my palms. I am sunlit glory, mountain face glittering in fresh moonlight, laughter in rose petals, frankincense and myrrh, split my flesh to find the sun settles in my ribcage. When God made me, he mixed brown skin, honeydew melon, and stained glass. I am Sunday morning choirs and a preacher's sermon on Easter morning. I am melodies of heaven. I am raining down on the eve of all that is new. Kaleidoscope touch, carving roadmaps to heaven in wet clay. These hands are gifts from God. These feet, these eyes, this heart. You could spin gold out of my skin if you tried. There is a halo hanging around me. I have all the grace of leaping gazelles. Remember this, all bodies are good bodies. This body is good. Amen.
The Son of God. I awoke on the 14th day of the lunar month to darkness and silence interrupted. A congregation, weighted by the door, entered when they felt led to. They saw my state, and they called it stigmata, the mark of the Lord reborn. They strung me to the cross and watched my body break and return to dust. From dust, I was born again, 3 days after drinking the blood of the Lamb killed twice. Once for sacrifice, then again when the light spread itself across the hills. In 40 nights I will be consumed by grace and glory, and all at once I will end, and I will begin again and again, when blood is water and water is life.
To be built in God's image. Hands turn to face that are not my own. Body pulls to ground like soft ash from burning bush. Down in hell, God guards the junkyard. Legs and arms pile over disfigured faces and molded teeth, leftovers of what could have been seen in mirror-felt reflections. I see my skin and my bones, but this body is not my own. Built like brick house with warping wood, I was pieced together in his image. Formed by broken palm with twisted tells, yet never spoken, never heard, always just told. Told to be pretty, to be strong, to be bold, bold. Trying to be bold in skin that is not my own, due to God digging through the junkyard, unheard. Slowly piecing together his perfect picture of me.
To an unsuccessful sinner. It's a good day to spit up serpents and skip Sunday dinner. It's a good day to lie in bed and wonder, make mother wonder if we'll ever come home. With her machete tongue, I will end up at the door again, as I always do. A crown of divine light made by the orange street lamp on the corner, illuminating my frizzy hair on a humid southern night. It's a good day to draw up a New Testament. My fall is only temporary, and I rest easy on this earth. And my father grew like a redwood, twisting roots around the wrong side of the train tracks, standing eternal in his time alone. And in his hand he holds the truth of faith. Stand on your roof during a lightning storm and show God your new umbrella.
The new prophet. Hey everyone! I've come down from the mountain. I've got the word of God. I've walked through blizzards. I've crossed the desert. Oh, I've got the new commandments, the new prophecy. It's all new, never before seen. Come and get it. Come and get it. Only $20. Buy one. Get another. 10% off the price of 3 and 1 more for free, almost. Email me, mosesbusiness@hotmail.com. Serious inquiries only.
Christian, is godly beauty, is being set apart, is living life freely, knowing that falling off a cliff will raise you. Is humility, like beachy sand shocked into glass, electric beauty under quick hot fire that transfigures into something new. Is being caught by the surprise of life, since your lens is forever changed, rearranged from accepting hardships and recognizing that life is more. Is purity, though the transformation process is more important. Is knowing that blood eliminates stains better than mama's laundry room shout. Is speaking gospel, dead and raised, breathing the gold of life and living, rejoicing that death is not the end, and though the dark comes, there is breath thereafter. Is seeing light in the grim of chaos, atoms swirling under magnificent tones. Is sending electrons into spirals that bond to form the bodies we know. Is scooping ashes into palms that held a crying child for eons. And speaking into sobbing man that man is what you are. Is knowing man is short for human, gender inclusive, a world reunion, recognizing the bind of old and broken, reworked into diamonds, shiny and new. Is same body, brand new spirit. Is sipping living water as refreshment in the desert. Is not perfect, though many may rebuke this, under the guise that they are better than you. Well, let me give you the truth. Though we bear holy fruit, unholy actions still aren't excused. Is knowing black and white and gray, and seeing earth and hell and heaven and spirit. Is tapping into godly senses and premonitions the world has not yet seen. Is falling prostrate at the throne, knowing you are not alone but in heavenly hands, that you can dance your body bare without the shame of post-sin Eden. Is knowing God although you're human, unraveling mysteries every day. Is seeing time and earth and space and winding between the real and the intangible. Is confession with rumbling tones, as if your words will never falter, before the altar, releasing darkness, like the smoke from a flickering flame. Is feeling jolly, perpetually blessed, though blessed is not forever smiling, seeing blessed as lifestyle, words to action, and the subtraction of anything that may obstruct. Is checking your email on the daily, quick prayers, your text message to God, long ones, a midnight morning phone call, either grouped or done alone. Is plugging in those needed earbuds because the subject matter is private. Is telling secrets to your best friend who, though long distance, holds you close. Is sorry for not doing our job, for bringing trauma to the sanctuary as dirty priests and snobby gossip and snooty judgment. Sorry for using light and darkness to make a yin-yang gray that takes away from the clear line of right and wrong. For making the basis of things blurry. Is sorry for our history of stealing gold in exchange for gospel, a false doctrine of what eternal life actually is. Sorry, though the untainted truth remains the same.
In soul,
In body.
my voice cries out from black chains and corroding fence. I will bleed in hopes one will hear my silent pleas.
How it hurts to be trapped within this carcass, which swallows breaths that fail to reach my depths. Bubbling aches within my heart, the very place that we connect. Reach for falling tides.
Drown times with soiled whimpers, with hands that are not my own. Take this body and taint it with stone. Let it sit on a pedestal for all to fill.
The smooth of skin and the warmth of fingers, interlaced to embrace what both soul and mind desire.
From broken bones, your warmth used to reach for hand and foot. There is nothing, no sound nor being, but my voice holds, keeping me grounded, keeping me here within the squandered cage, grasping to be seen.
Like light in a cave, I am burrowed deep, and one must search to find my treasures. Scream! Plead to the one, taking heavy breath with your lungs.
They look, pointing out the empty parts of me where soul is supposed to be. Too busy chasing after dreams you forget I can dream too.
Dream of how life goes on without the ashes, that I'll go on, as does the sea.
It was never about you, nor the wayward tide, but about us. Lip to body, watch how they move, pulling with wonder. The dust from under covers pull midnight thoughts from under pillowcase reflections.
Look to soul, see how it glows, cusping silent power within its palms, and in that quiet does it rest, raging as the night, like I wish I could, goes on. Lying mixed with you is like falling for all the things I wish I was.
I run my fingers up my sides, yet there is nothing to be held, lacking warmth and all the comforts I can call my own.
Post me high upon this pedestal and fill this aching hole, this heart, the other half of you to match as fingers intertwine.
I wish you could feel how daunting bodies cling as loose change. There is nothing without you, without me, curling from warm touch of cool hand. I know all too well the state of being blind. I wish I could be seen in your image in all its hollowed form.
Admired like the beauty of body, the cage that hides me within, quietly, silently, but I have voice within your eyes. Fill me in this scalding heat. Know this is part of me too. I am all you will ever want to be.
Seeping to cool grass, limbs move, dancing around felt mirrors. I will try to be anything more than here.
Frolicking in the valley, prancing in the shallows, they transcend the meaning of space, and with them I too will rise. It settles well under scolding tongue,
Holding hands to the speaker.
it doesn't hurt because I know I am all you will ever want to be.
These late nights are for hidden truths. I whisper my love for you into an empty bottle. I pluck rose petals until my fingers are shredded and the stems are painted. I offer my rib bone to the sky in the hopes of an answer. You love me. Truth. You love me not. Truth. Two truths I will never quite digest. I hold my head underwater until there is no more world, only color. I imagine that I am in the sky. You're there too. You were rose pink in white clouds. You were the sun when it rises and the sun when it sets. You were watercolor in magnolia trees. You were the heat of something too far away to touch. And I am only just now learning to shield my eyes. All this time, I thought I just wanted to be loved. But here's the truth. I wanted to be loved by you. I did. And I do. I do.
Something to remember. Remember. Verb. I can almost feel your hands in mine. I remember the warmth. I remember how your dreams spilled lilies into the ocean. I can almost taste the salt.
Red. September starts like the breaking of a crisp apple. Summer sunset leaking into the coming fall.
I don't know if you've forgotten, but your memories turn like sandalwood burning into an open flame. Your memories pass like old storms. Do you remember? Your eyes lit a match. I remember every somber word you spoke.
Orange. Flame erupting from the lighter she flicks open. Shadows being thrown against the walls. The light dances on her face, a heartbeat of its own. I see her, then it goes dark. Nothing but heat and holiness in her arms.
However, I can't seem to remember if it was the truth. I was always too wrapped up in your smile. Did you believe you could lie to me? Do you not remember who I am? I was once your goddess, someone you worshipped.
Yellow. Sunbeams tracing her spine as she shifts in the sheets. Pillars of light illuminating just how much I love her. Lingering honey, first to dawn, first to set. A secret we share.
Yet you remembered them. You remember him. You don't remember the promises I gave nor the truth to my word. I wonder if you can still carry yourself in the way I remember.
Green. Cushions of moss under our bodies, a forest shawl. Ferns pushing up against our bare skin, watching our clothes sway in the wind, discarded and hanging from low branches. Weaving leaves act as the gates to Eden as we make our way to the water.
You always stood tall, stood proud, but every now and then your shoulders would drop, your hair would fall. Those waves reminded me of the ocean. I remember you. I remember the smell of your perfume. I remember it all. Do you?
Blue. Awaking to rain on a foggy morning. A warm breath catching my shoulder, moving closer under knit blankets. Knowing nothing but haze and rain tapping on the window, and that we will only ever know each other.
Antonym. Forget. Verb. It seems to be on the tip of my tongue. Your eyes never shined as bright, but I seem to forget where you were looking. I can't tell if it was my face or the stars. I'm sorry your words mean nothing to me. I can't forget the lies you tried so hard to hide. This is not something you forget. You try to play it off, place the blame, but this is on you. This is what you forget. I am what you forget.
Purple. One last kiss from her lips, marks that litter her skin. Another dream put down. Dying embers settling against the sky. Another love song. The rising night, finding each other and fragmenting, and knowing with the bitterness of plum. Love is nothing we can help, making us fire against rain until we are smoldering ashes, holding each other.
a loaded gun. Keep the safety on. Bullets in the chamber rattling with want. A hollow point kiss, fragments of a heart untethered. I've loved you since we were 14. 2. Your hand holding mine, leaves between our fingers, the sun a hanging halo, the sun bearing witness, my heart a sound only I can hear. I've loved you since we were 10. 3. The shockwave of your warmth in my fingertips, the remnants of your love in my chest, your words hanging soft in my brain, a rot like sugar. I've loved you since we were 5. 4. The dining room table, our friends all around, your smile and your laughter, you have haunted me all my life. It feels like you'll live in my heart until I am dead. I've loved you since the cradle. 5. I've loved you since the womb. I've loved you since Troy fell. I've loved you since the first village, the first house, the first taste of water of the first man. I have loved you since men have had hearts and feet and hands. I've loved you since the first star died and gave its light to the earth. Since the universe blossomed from its germinating seed. I have loved you always. I will swallow my heart. I will not let it spill all over this table.
Home. Please make a home out of me. Lay down your rugs and your coffee mugs. Call me home from faraway places. Hang the curtains over my eyes and hope I won't see you visiting the others. Dip your feet into the floor mats. Sink into my arms and feel the comforts that only a home could give you. Take a shower. Know that it's a part of me too. I know your toothbrush lies on the counter next to the cup. I know down the hall you leave the light on because you like to think there's someone there, and when my arms feel too open, you leave out into the night, me calling you, mistaking you calling back from the empty echo of my own voice. Make a home out of me. Like the one you used to dream of when crocodile tears fed eyes to pillowcases, and the only one you ever needed was home.
Waking from a dream, where from the top of a tumbling length of stairs, I heard you say, "Can you stitch up my throat?" And you weren't even saying it to me, but it felt like a request, like something I could do for you. And at the time, it was totally rational because, although I have neither the knowledge nor, in all honesty, the precision, it is something I would do regardless of qualification, because to keep all the enchanted blood flowing through you, like repairing the engine of a mystical boat, a parallel world Titanic with only one passenger. To save you, and only you, is an honor beyond sainthood.
Defining a cliche phrase. I love you is a cultural cliche, a phrase that here is more said than done because it's easier that way. 3 words strung together conveniently, though the word's true meaning breaks that border, leaving humankind confused as to what it truly is, leaving humankind to act, since it's better off a verb. And your way of displaying it to me from overseas is through risking time. We are hearts over oceans, sailing hellos over the seas into alternate time zones. As I am well into my day, you find yourself within the next one, but gladly grant me the privilege of being the first part of yours. You eliminate time for me, calling me with drowsy eyes because the moon is long and waiting. Dreams are waiting impatiently, rebuking your desire to be nocturnal as you push them off to the next afternoon. My 7 p.m. croons 2 a.m. for you, and we talk until Central Standard's 10, when the roosters bloom their morning song with the sunrise of your next day, and you realize you'll be late for school. No. It must remain unspoken, because you are showing me how to show it, using one abstract to define another. Time and love, defining each other, as we discover together what each truly means. You sacrifice time for me. Your voice, my lullaby, sends us both into tomorrow, a day that is deeper than moon and sun. A day is forever when I'm with you. A forever where you are my forecaster, informing me of tomorrow's hope and blushing in your native tongue as if I would not understand the meaning. As if I'd mind if you tripped over it, stuttering over an English accent that would practice would mold to mine, a somewhat southern drawl that sounds nothing like the North. Would we become one then? As you trade time and I trade language, spinning both our worlds into whirlpools that place real life on the back burner, cooking up a melting pot of what we are and what is blooming, the words that lie on the tip of my tongue that you would never understand, the words that rumble of my throat and want to take over my mind, vibrating chords into a song that I hope both of us can sing and sound like the birds within your morning, leaving nests to reach each other, humbly soaring over waters to chirp a chorus with their love. Oh, how gosh darn it! I know it in my heart. I know that in my world of Southern style, we say it all the time, that love is just words, as some believe, but better shown in reality, like what we are learning how to do. Still, am I excused as a poet to say how much I care for you?
Homoeroticism. Even the rain steams against the sidewalk. My arms are laced with water and smears of dirt. The air is heavy and the trees lean down, like a woman shielding her eyes from the sun. Leaves and branches falling like curling locks of hair. I can feel her teeth sinking in and the weight of her tongue, and heat pressing in around me. I run ahead to someone new before she can ever even lower the covers and know me fully. Unknown prints on my body, ceaseless love, faces bleed into one another from one haze to the next. I feel warmth against my heart and knowing I'll never picture one face. It is nothing and everything with nobody and someone. It is lightning in the dark, monsoon for the maker, so deeply pierced in my heart that I can only roll word after word, punctuated by hands on hips, I and love and you, and never letting those words tumble into the daylight.
Don't worry, darling. I will bury this love like an axe in the backyard. I will clean it from the floor and the walls and the tabletop and the dresser. I will purge it with bleach. The police will come around. They will have reports of warmth blossoming in my chest when you speak, of my heart, forgetting it's my heart, and trying to be yours when you enter the room. They will know how the sun rises and sets in my ribcage whenever you laugh. They will know how much I love to hold your hand. The police will ask their questions, but I will keep that love hidden, like a picture of my mother and a locket around my throat. I will trap that love in the walls. I will tell it to be quiet. I will bind its wrists and gag its mouth in the basement. I will bury it in the bowels of the attic for safekeeping. There is no need to worry. This love will not make it out into the world. It will never see the sun. It will never feel the ocean. It will never know that the moon changes her face every night. And if this love truly will not be caged, then I will smother it and stuff it into a bottle. I will burn it away with ink and salt. I will send it across the sea to some distant country where it can never reach you.
Place of rest. And when the asteroids have landed, and the moon has crumbled, and the oceans are steam, and there are only 2 boys left on the planet, they will find their way to paradise. When their desperation to survive has faded, and they have left the twisting, waterlogged hallways under shattered apartment buildings, and given up hoping for food in empty grocery stores, they will come to a miraculous orchard in the center of this grayed-out world, where apples grow and leaves turn green with summer, and the boys, who have forgotten their names, which they no longer need, their presence never separated, lie down under the branches as the sun streams through the leaves like lines of poetry. They eat the apples one by one. They drink clear water from fountains lush with carvings of crescent moons, apes, candles. They wonder how this place came to be, and whether it is real at all, but they do not say these things out loud. Instead, one balances along the cobblestone wall while the other steadies him from the ground, their hands clasped tightly together while the sun arcs across the sky and turns the world orange, and they do not say anything. When the fruit runs out and winter sets in, they sit together on the wall, shivering, and stare out over the world set all before them. Their stomachs, though starving, are still, and one, leaning on his rose-coated lover's shoulder, turns to face him and speaks the world's last words. I'm glad I met you. And so it is as it was. Everything ends as it began.
I am a beacon of something familiar. My lungs breathe air. I am and in time will be more than my limits and always less than love. A boundless flame, to be known as though I am.
I am here, falling over loose chains and promises that sound a lot like nursery rhymes. Trying to find love in places where only my heart lies. I am cursed to a doomed fate. Living life like falling petals in harsh, warm winds, I am lost. Searching for all the places I can call my own. I am me, and it seems that's all I will ever be.
I am self-love, picking up the pieces of myself and loving how they fit together. Nameless with identity, guiltless strength, inkblots and budding hope, finally free with the sun kissing my face.
I am terrible at shaking hands, worse at eye contact, nervous, often shivering. an ongoing hallucination, something to consider, a mess of love and paint and water, a moving Pollock painting, film illuminated, born in a dark room.
I am walking without names, no old faces etched into my skin, all old wounds reconfigured into stars. For the first time, I will look into my broken palms, and I will call them beautiful.
I am fully focused on the roses, eyes glossed over with the glamour of the future's promise, gracefully walking into something more upbeat than a tiptoe, fully flowing in this flower bed, making sense of the only bed I've ever known.